Howdy folks, hope you're doing great. Hope you have a beautiful day. God bless. Christ is King. A little while ago, one of my friends on Facebook, she put a post up, like a status post, whatever, about essentially escaping from the mind prison, escaping from the matrix that keeps everyone enslaved. And so I just commented on there that the only door out of the matrix is Jesus Christ, and every other door is just inception. So it's like you think you've gotten out of the matrix, but you're just in another layer of the matrix. And the actual only way to get out of the matrix and to not be a slave, to get out of the mental prison, is through Jesus Christ. That's why Jesus is literally called the door. That's one of the names of the Messiah, of God in the flesh, the door. Because no one comes to the Father but through Jesus. So Jesus is literally the doorway out of the matrix, right? Out of the slave system, the only way. And every other doorway is just, it's like in the old Scooby-Doo cartoon when they're like opening doors and then they're like popping out other doors in the hallways and stuff. Like every other door, every other path, every other spirituality, that's all. You're just like popping in and out of doors, but you're in the same fucking hallway. Like Scooby-Doo. The only actual door out of the fucking, out of the building is Jesus Christ. So I didn't go into all that detail in my comment. I just left it simple, like the only way out of the matrix, out of the mind prison system, is Jesus, and every other way is just inception. But I got a reply this morning from a fellow, and he's being civil and polite as well, and he's just said he's never encountered Jesus, he's never met Jesus himself, but he believes for himself his doorway out of the matrix is awareness. And you hear this quite a bit. People often talk about how awareness is like some type of enlightening thing that's going to like make them transcend the slave system of the matrix, etc., or whatever they want to label it as, and whatever they want to escape and transcend. But they often proclaim in New Age teachings, awareness is a key, and that's a fair enough point and position to have, but it's wrong. And it's simple why it's wrong, right? We're all limited. Nobody's got perfect knowledge of anything, all right, except for God. And anyone who claims to know everything is a fool. So if we're limited beings, therefore if we rely on our own awareness, that's limitation. So you're still trapped in the matrix if you rely on your own awareness. Okay? To rely on your own awareness, to simply just be aware and have consciousness, be conscious and aware, that's not a doorway. It's not going to get you out of anything. It's another trap. Again, that proves my point. If you think that awareness is a doorway out of the slave mind system, all right, the enslavement of your own mind, the matrix system, if you think having awareness or consciousness is a doorway out, that's literally inception. That's just a doorway into more limitation, into more matrix, mind slave prison. All right? Because your own awareness is limited. So if you're seeking awareness and consciousness as some form of like liberation from being enslaved by your own mind, it's not going to work. And the only way you could think it could work is if you assume you're perfect and you know everything and you're like you're God. Because no, you're not. You're not God. You're a separate individual human being that's born and will die a mortal death. Okay? So your awareness is mortal, limited, and even corrupted. So everyone who's trying to practice awareness and have more consciousness, it's just another trap. Okay? You have to rely on something beyond yourself. If you try to just rely on yourself, your own awareness, your own consciousness, you'll be a fool forever. Alright? It has to be something beyond you that can liberate you. And the only thing that's beyond us and beyond this physical universe is actually outside of the matrix that can liberate us from the matrix. Alright, this slave says, is Jesus Christ. But people who have pride and ego and they want to be their own gods, because they're up themselves, they don't want to rely on Jesus Christ. They don't want to just rely on God. They want to be their own saviors. They want to be God themselves. So they rely on their own awareness, their own consciousness, not realizing that it's just another trap in the matrix. Again, it's simple common sense. Nobody can argue against this. It's like, who can claim that they have God's awareness? Only a fool or God. Okay? And none of us are God, so none of us have God's awareness. Alright? We only have our own limited human awareness. So if you're relying on your own consciousness and your own awareness, that's limited, mortal, human folly. And you'll be constantly trapped in your own folly. Okay? The only way you can have true wisdom or any breakthrough in any regard is to rely on a higher power, something beyond yourself, something from outside of the physical universe. And that's Jesus Christ. That's God. So, if you think I'm wrong, it's easy to test. You can just like pray for, you just ask the Father, ask Jesus, can you reveal yourself to me, reveal the truth of existence to me, break me free of the matrix, and then Jesus literally just rocks up and fucking frees you from the matrix and he saves you straight away. As soon as you ask, he just pops up. There's not one person in all of human history that's prayed for Jesus to reveal the truth and his God self, his glory as God to them, and Jesus hasn't done it. Every person who's asked Jesus, just show me the truth, Jesus. Are you the truth? Are you the way? Jesus literally shows them, yes, I am God. I am the way. Follow me, my child. Like, that's how simple it is. So the only thing that's stopping people from accepting Jesus Christ as God is their own pride. They haven't asked him. They just haven't bothered to ask God. Like, God, Jesus, are you the way? Are you the truth? Can you show me? And then God will just be like, yeah, of course I'll show you. I love you. You're my child. Jesus is my son, my only begotten son, God in the flesh. It is only through him that you can have salvation and immortality and have eternal life and return back to heaven. Through my son, Jesus Christ. Literally, all you got to do is just ask God with humility and an open heart. Be open-minded, all right? Not be arrogant. Not rely on your own awareness, your own folly and ignorance and limitations, but actually be open-minded, have an open heart, be humble, and just ask God to show him or show you his truth, and the truth of reality. And then bang, you'll meet Jesus. 100%, like, I bet my life on it, mate. Like, if you just ask God to show you the truth, you'll meet Jesus, and then you'll know the truth. That's how bloody simple it is. But you have to have humility. You have to accept that you're not God, you're not special, you're a fucking idiot, alright? And your awareness and consciousness is limited and mortal and always wrong. Because you're a limited, wrong human being that's corrupted and foolish. And if you think otherwise, that's your pride. It's a sin, okay? You literally are trying to make yourself God. You think you're God. You're like, because if you don't accept you're below God, you're a mortal and you have faults, all right? Then you're literally claiming to be God. That's the only other option. It's either you're not God or you're God, all right? But you're not. So you're a mortal human being with faults and limitations. We all are. And that's why we need God, not our own awareness. All right? Not meditation, not having more consciousness and more awareness. That don't do shit but make you more of an idiot and more proud, more arrogant, and separates you further from God. You know? The only way you can have connection to God is through humility. You can't be thinking you're all great and special. But everyone who hasn't asked God to show them the truth and hasn't met Jesus, that's their attitude. That's why they haven't asked God to reveal the truth and they haven't met Jesus. Because they think they're special. They think they know better than God. So check your arrogance, check your pride, and have some humility and just ask God to reveal the truth, and you'll meet Jesus Christ. You'll be born again, and you'll know that you'll fucking love God and love Jesus, and life will be brilliant, and you'll be blessed, and you're always happy, always peaceful, always full of joy. Doesn't matter what happens in the world around you. You always have the peace of Jesus Christ. And it's literally that simple. Don't be a proud, arrogant cunt that thinks you're better than God. And be humble and just ask God to show you the truth. And then, bam, Jesus rocks up and he becomes your best mate. You know? So, again, the only people who haven't met Jesus are people who are thinking they're too prideful to ask to meet him. Because they think they're better. Which is pretty fucking stupid. Because you're definitely not better than Jesus, alright? No one is. Nothing in existence will ever be better than Jesus. Okay? So if you're not willing to ask God to reveal the truth of Jesus to you, it's just because you're prideful. And you think you're literally better than God. And who thought that? That's right. That's what Satan thought. That's why Satan was kicked out of heaven. Because he thought he could challenge God's position. So where do you think you got the idea to put yourself in the position as God, above God? Where did you get that idea? Was it your own idea? Don't think so. I'm pretty sure you got it from a demon or from Satan. Because that was Satan's idea, to be God. And not just be humble and ask God to reveal his truth and meet Jesus Christ and accept that Jesus Christ is our Lord. Alright? That idea comes from the devil. And it's usurping God's throne. You're literally trying to challenge the creator of the universe for his throne and kingdom. Good luck. Have a beautiful day, folks. God bless. Christ is King. And remember, all this New Age stuff, relying on your own awareness, it's all folly, limitations from Satan. And it's easily proven, easily broken down. You can easily children can comprehend and follow along. Alright? It's not complicated stuff. It's really simple. Even children can fucking understand. So, you got no excuse. It's just your pride. Yeah. And that's one of the reasons why Jesus said, if you want to have immortality and enter heaven, you're going to have to be like a child. You're going to have to be humble like a child. Only those who are childlike may enter heaven. So if you think you know, and you're not willing to just be an innocent, humble child that knows nothing, and you're just like, God, please show me the way, I'm a dumb kid, well then you're not coming to heaven, sorry. Right. If you're arrogant enough to think you know, and you don't need to rely on God for answers and wisdom, then you're literally trying to usurp God's throne. So that's treason. You deserve to be tortured in hell for an eternity. If you don't accept Jesus Christ as Lord, that's treason. You're literally trying to steal God's kingdom and claim that you are God. So don't complain when you get sent to hell. Just stop trying to steal God's throne. Accept that Jesus is God. Stop trying to rob God for his fucking kingdom. And then you get to go to heaven and you won't be sent to hell for being a fucking traitor and trying to usurp the throne of heaven. Look, Satan's a lot smarter than you. Satan's a lot stronger, a lot wiser, a lot more powerful than you'll ever be. And look what happened to him when he tried to usurp God's throne. Didn't work out very well for him. So, if you as a human being think that you have any chance, that's fucking ridiculous. Obviously, you've been deceived by the devil.